Hi everyone, it's Britt Chandler, and this is a video with tips for culling your images in Lightroom. So before I get started with my process for culling images, I want to talk about the different questions that I ask myself prior to culling and that you should ask yourself. So one of the first questions is, what are these photos for? Are they for clients? Are they personal images? Do you need them for, a marketing template or for a gallery for your clients, for an album, for wall galleries? You have to know that in advance before you start. After you ask that, you can ask yourself, how many images do you need? If they're client images, do you promise 20 images? Do you promise 75 images? You kind of have to have that number in mind before. If you delete, 40 out of 50 images and you only have 10 left, is that going to be okay? And one of the other questions I like to ask myself is about duplicates. Do I need two different orientations or do I just want one? So, for example, with client images, do I want them to have both a vertical and a horizontal orientation of the same image so they can choose between those two if they want, if they're putting a wall gallery up on their wall and they love this image, but it's a vertical frame and they need it in a horizontal or, that sort of thing. So think about those things as you're culling through. So those are the questions to ask yourself. To get started, I am within Library in Lightroom, and I'm going to use the flagging system and the rating system to show you how I organize everything and cull everything. So my first tip is to have the caps lock key on your keyboard, because when you do that, when you click any of these buttons, it will instantly take you to the next image instead of having to use your arrow keys or to manually click through each image. So that's my first tip. I'm going to go back. Whoops, I don't know what happened there. I'm going to turn these off. Alright, so my caps lock key is on. The first thing that I do when I'm culling images, especially when I have a lot, is I want to delete the images that I don't want to see again. The images that I never ever ever need, images that can be completely deleted off of my disk, off of my computer, images that don't need to be on my computer taking up my very, very precious hard drive space. So to do that, I flag my images that are absolute definite no's. So this is not a no. To get to the next image, since I'm not going to click anything here, I'm going to use the arrow key, the right arrow key on my keyboard to go to the next image. So I like this image too. I'm going to keep that one. I don't love this image, but let me see what else I have coming up. So now I'm using the arrow keys to look back and forth between these two. And I think I like this image better than this image because this one's got a little too much blur. I don't really love the orientation or the perspective. So this one's a yes, I'm not going to do anything. This one's going to be a no, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to flag it, which takes me to the next one. And I actually like this image better than that last one, so I'm going to keep this one. Use the arrow key to go to my next image. I like this one, but let's see what else I have. Oh, you can see up here that I've changed my aperture to have a lot more in focus and not so much blurred in the background, so you can see between those two. For this shot, I think I really like having a little bit more in focus, so I'm going to flag this one. I'm going to keep this shot. I don't like this shot. There's just too much happening. I don't like the orientation. I don't mind horizontals for product photography, but there's so much white space. It's not very interesting. I could probably crop it in a little bit tighter, but I don't need to because I know I took a lot of pictures here. So I'm going to flag that one as a definite no. I really like this detailed shot. You can kind of see everything that's happening, but you still have a little bit of interesting stuff happening, so I'm going to keep that one. I like this one. I don't love it. This is kind of blown, so you can't really tell what's happening. Is it a plate? Is it a cake stand? So I'm going to flag that one. Oops. This is just a pullback shot, if I ever decide I want to talk about how I use food photography. You can kind of see what I have going on here. I'm going to keep it just in case I ever need it. I like this shot. I'm going to keep this one as well. Oh, now you see I have two similar ones. And if you look up here, I have changed my aperture between these two images, which is why they're almost exactly the same, but they're still different. So for this one, I actually like having a little bit of the blur happening, kind of having my background blurred everywhere. The foreground's blurred, and you just have this really thin slice of focus in the front of the berries and the front of the muffin. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to flag this first one, which takes me to this one. I'm going to keep this image. I think I will keep this one as well. This one, the focus I don't think is where I want it to be, which would be right in the front of this muffin, so I'm going to flag it. And this one's kind of the same. It's just a little too blurry for my taste. This one's pretty blown, but that could easily be recovered. Let's see what else I have with this setup. So I like this shot better than this one, so I'm going to flag this one. I'm going to keep this one for now. We'll see. Oh, actually, you can see that Lightroom finished loading it, so it's pretty sharp right here. So we'll definitely keep that one. You can see I pulled down the exposure a little bit, so I'm going to go back and delete this one since I corrected myself in camera. I don't need this one. I can keep this one here. I like this shot. It's pretty interesting. It's very different. You have a very, very thin slice of focus. I'll keep it. See what else we have. See, I think this is a little bit more interesting, so I'm going to go back and delete this one and keep this one. I like this is so blurry, but you look over here, and from far away, you can still kind of see what's happening, so I think I'll keep that. I'm going to keep this one, like this perspective. I do wish a few of these berries were in focus, but, you know, oh well, they're personal photos. I don't like this one as much. I think if I crop it into more of a square, I would like it more, but I still think it's just not interesting enough. So, you can see the muffin's very in focus, but the mug is not, so I'm going to flag that. And ditto that. You can see I'm a little too wide open for being this close to get everything in focus, so I'm going to flag that. I'm going to keep this one. I don't mind it. I think this is pretty interesting, so I will keep that. And I think this is the only one I got with this orientation, so I'm going to keep that. And I'm going to keep that one as well, because it's the only vertical that I got of that setup. This one is too blurry. I think only this is in focus, but it's really hard to tell because everything's blown and you kind of lose the cup on top of the marble, and this is very out of focus, so I'm going to flag that. This one I've changed the orientation, but everything's still pretty blurred. Let me see what else I have coming up. So then I added leaves, and then I kind of lost it, so I'll keep this just in case I want it down the road. I don't really love the leaves in this one. I think it looks kind of weird, just random leaves sitting next to the coffee, so I'm going to delete that one and flag it. I like this one. I think I'll keep it. You can see I pulled my exposure down a bit to get rid of those blown highlights. So I'm going to go back and delete this one. And when I say delete, I mean flag, and eventually I'll show you how I delete the flagged photos. So we'll keep this one. Oh, and now you can see I have two different things happening. The spoon changing. I like both of them. I don't know which one I would use, so I'm going to keep them both for now. Oh, now I have a lot happening. So I have this one. I think I'll keep this one. This one's pretty similar to these two, but I like this one best. I'm going to go back and delete this one. So now I have this one that I'm going to save, and this one that I'm going to save. So, you know, for what I'm using it for, which is personal use, I have enough of that shot. Now I've added a little doily. It's pretty blurry, but I really love this shot, so I think I'm going to keep it. Same with this one. I like this different orientation. It'll look really good as a square, so I'm going to keep that one as well. Now we have the muffin back in the action. I think this is really pretty. I like being able to look up here and kind of see overall. This is a really big computer. It's a 27-inch Mac, and it's just huge. So when I look at it, I don't really get to see the whole picture. I just kind of see the muffin. So I like being able to see, you know, a smaller shot. So I'm going to keep this one. I think I'll keep this one as well. And I like that I pulled back, but I still think I want both of these, just in case. So I'm going to keep this one. I don't love this one as much, but let's see what else I have coming up. So I took the knife away and added berries. I don't think I need this one, so I'm going to flag that. Really like the berries, and it's a really thin slice of focus, but I think it kind of works for this shot, so I'm going to keep it. Do not like the orientation here. There's a lot of blank space here and a lot of blank space here, so I think I'm going to delete that one. Now we have some bread. Oh, I don't love this shot. It's kind of blah, but we'll keep it and see what else I have coming up. So this one's already more interesting to me. You can tell that it's bread. You have like a completely different perspective, so I'm going to delete this first one. And just so you guys know, I'm going backwards by using the arrow keys on my keyboard. That's how I go backwards. And I go forward with the same key, or by, you know, hitting the flag to go forward. So we'll keep this one. I added the knife. I don't love it, but I don't hate it, so we'll keep it for now. And now I added leaves and took the knife away, so I definitely like that shot better. I'm going to delete this one. We'll keep this one, although I do wish my focus was a little bit further back, but oh well. I'm looking up here. I don't really love that shot compared to the first one, but let's see what we have coming up if I have any more horizontals. I do, but no leaves. So I'm going to keep this one. I don't like this. I'm going to delete this one. I added the knife back in. I still don't love it. It's just kind of blah. So I'm going to flag that one. I like the detail of the grains and the bread that I have here, so I'm going to keep that one. And this one's just a little too much, so I'm going to delete that one. I think this is an interesting perspective. I don't know what I'll use it for, but I'll keep that one just in case. And that is my last image. So I'm going to double click out to show all my images again. You can see what I have flagged. And now what I do is I go to, is it File? No, I go to Edit and then select Flagged Photos. So all of those, I'm going to right click and then I'm going to hit, where is it that I want? Hold on guys, sorry about this. Okay, here it is. Sorry, I was looking for the word delete, but it's remove. So we're going to right click and hit remove photos, and this is going to remove all of the flagged photos, all of the definite no's. So when that comes up, you can hit remove, and it looks like remove just removes it from Lightroom. So they're not in the Lightroom catalog anymore, or you can delete them off of your computer. And I am going to delete them off my computer because I don't need them, and they're really big files and they're taking up a lot of space. So I'm just going to delete them. And they are gone. So that's the first round of culling. Now the next one's going to be a little bit faster. And I think it depends on what your ultimate goal for your images are, but I'm going to show you how I would do it kind of if I were shooting for a client, or we can pretend like I'm some fancy product photographer and these are for, you know, a restaurant that makes these or a bakery that makes all these items. So I'm going to use the rating system, for these. So for me, I'm going to make, and let's pretend that I have a number in mind. So right now I have 30 photos. I started out with 54, so I deleted 24 in the first round of culling. So now I have 30 photos left. Let's say that I need to deliver 20 files, or I want 20 files as my end goal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make definite yeses a 5-star rating, and then the maybes are going to be a 4-star. And I'll show you at the end how I use those ratings. So I still have caps lock on to get me through quickly. I don't need to use my arrows as much because all of them will be rated with a 4 or 5, and that will click me through to the next image. I really like this image, so that's going to be a 4 or a 5 for me, so it's a definite yes. I love this one. I'm going to pop over with my arrow keys to see what I have coming up next. So it's a different orientation. I'm going to keep this one as a 5. I think I'm going to make this one a 4 because I don't love it, but it's still a nice shot. Let me click through the next one. I think this is going to stay a 4. And I think this will be a 4 too. Whenever I have hesitation, I just automatically make them 4s. I love this shot. I know that I don't have anything else quite like it, so it's going to be a 5. This one, I wouldn't deliver this to a client if it was for a bakery, but let's pretend like it's a little bit closer up, so let's make it a maybe. I really like this shot, so this will be a 5. And this one will be a 4 because I don't love the orientation as much. And I will make this one a 5. I really like this shot, so I'm going to make it a 5, but I don't think it's something I would deliver to a bakery. This one's going to be a maybe just because the slice of focus isn't quite where I want it to be. I'm going to make this one a maybe too because it's kind of boring. This one's a little more interesting, so I'll make it a 5. I prefer this orientation over the next one, so I'm going to make this one a 5 and this one a 4. I don't like this one very much, so I'm going to make it a 4. I know that my next image is a little bit more interesting than this, so I'm going to make this one a 4. This one's going to be a 5. I like this, but the focus isn't quite enough for me, so I'm going to make it a 4. And I like this one a lot more, so this one's going to be a 5. I love this shot, so this will be a 5. I like this one, but I know my next one's better, so I'm going to make this one a 4, make this one a 5, make this one a 5. This is kind of blonde. I know that I have more interesting images coming up, so I'm going to make this one a 4. And I'll make this one a 5. I'll make this one a 5. And I know that I have more detailed graining images coming up, but I prefer this one, so I'm going to make this one a 5. This one's still pretty interesting, so I'll keep this one a 5 as well. Alright, so what you can do now is you can sort all of your images in so many different ways. You can just sort the flagged images. You can just sort the rated images. You can kind of do a bunch of different things. So I'm going to sort the rated since all my flagged images are deleted. And then you can choose what your filter is. So you can have 5 and higher, you can have 4 and higher, you can have 3 and higher. Or you can, this is kind of going to get confusing, but you can have 4 and lower, 5 and lower. So 4 and lower shows all of my maybes. So first let's see 5 and lower. So I want to show only my 5s. So 5 stars and higher. So these are all of the absolute yeses. And I have 17 photos here. So we were pretending like my goal is 20. So I have 17 here. I'm going to go and I'm going to pick 3 of my maybes and turn them into 5s. And then I will have a gallery of 20 images. So let's go through quickly and we'll change what we want here. So if you want, you can keep these up so you can see everything. That might help actually when you know what's coming forward, but I like to keep them hidden. It's a personal preference, but let's see. I am looking at everything up here as well as down here, so I'm not going to make this one a 5, but I am going to make this one a 5. So that's going to go poof and go to my 5 and get taken out of my 4 and lower, my babies. So I think I have enough muffin pictures, so I'm just going to completely skip those. I love this shot. The focus isn't where I want it to be, but I really do like it, so I'm going to make this one a 5. And you know, you have to ask questions in terms of what the images are for. So if it's for a client, like, is my client going to like this picture of this muffin? No, so I'm not going to make it a 5. But for personal preferences, you know, you can kind of ask different questions. So I'm scrolling over everything and watching everything pop up around here. And I think my favorite shot out of all of these left over is this one. So now I'm going to go to 5 and higher, all of my yeses. I have 20 images. You can select all of them and, you know, edit them, obviously, and then export them or do whatever else you do with them. So that is my process for culling in Lightroom. That's how I use the flags. That's how I use the rating system. Um, if you were shooting client photos and these are all pictures of a family, you can use, oops, sorry about that. You can use a 3 is a maybe and a 5 is a yes. And your maybes include duplicates. So you have 2 images of smiling photos, and you know, the one image, the daughter's looking a little bit to the left, and in the second image, she's looking straight at the camera. So you can have 2 maybes, and you go back and you decide between those 2. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use everything, but that's how I use them for my own images. So I hope this helped you guys. Thanks for watching.